Okay, today we have Kristina Melsova with us. So without further ado, let us hear a little bit about yourself and your background, if you don't mind.
Sure. Nice meeting you, Karl. Thanks for having me. My name is Kristina Melsova. I'm an expat living in Dubai for almost 3 years. I originally come from Prague, Czech Republic. Escaped the corporate race about a year and a half ago, and now built 2 startups completely bootstrapped without any external capital here in Dubai and in the UAE. So if you're interested in startups, in UAE startup scene about travel tech, e-commerce, and startup trends, and also even bootstrapping, I think this conversation can be inspiring or interesting for you guys.
Okay. And just because for you and me, bootstrapping is straightforward, but maybe the listeners don't know fully about the different steps a startup go through. Bootstrap is basically when you invest in yourself. You come with the money and you build with your own money. So the decision to make that is also a big one, because that means that you're really putting yourself out there. There's a risk of that your startup is not being as successful as intended, and then you will have lost your money. But it also puts yourself in a new position where you really need to make your idea work instead of having investors that come with their money and then trust that you will do the best with that money. So that is super interesting. And also that you're doing 2 bootstrap startups at the same time.
I'm minimizing the risk, by having 2, but, you're completely right. For listeners that aren't that kind of into startups, there are obviously 2 ways you can grow a startup and build a startup. Either you accept external capital, it can be from angel investors, from VC funds, inject, a little or a lot of money into your idea, get it started. Or you kind of have more skin in the game. You put your own capital and time, and you have different priorities then, right? You probably want to experiment faster because you will be minimizing the risk since it's your skin in the game. And there's no right and wrong. Bootstrapping isn't applicable for all types of startups, and VC funding or external funding isn't kind of suitable for all type of ideas. You couldn't build OpenAI as a bootstrap startup.
No.
So I think it depends on what kind of product and startup you're building. If it's SaaS, if it's some tech product where you don't need huge upfront costs, you don't have huge operations, you don't have logistics and stuff. I believe for most people, it's better to bootstrap. But there's this constant discussion in the startup world. What's better, what's not. I think that's the point. It's more what's better for your current situation and for your idea, and how much skin in the game you want to have.
Yeah, and also how much knowledge and experience you have on your own. Like, are you a developer? Are you a product manager? Are you used to do marketing and sales? Like, because with bootstrapping, you will most probably do a lot more on your own if you don't have a wealthy back pocket, so to say.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. That's something I really appreciate about my personal journey. I come from a background where I'm not an engineer, but I used to build products for other companies, so for banking, for e-commerce, for food delivery services like Alibaba. And so I kind of know how to talk to customers, how to validate ideas. I have project management background, so it helps a lot. And I always thought that, this is kind of the most important background you can have as a startup founder, either being a software engineer or being a product person. But after about 6 months of doing this, you realize that probably the best skill you can have as a startup founder is sales. So if you're a great salesman, if you know how to connect with people, or if you have really deep expertise in the field you're building a product in, that's the kind of thing that sets you up for success, in my opinion. And that's probably the key skill I had to learn personally, how to do business development, how to do sales. That's something I never had to do at my previous works. There were huge departments for it. I was just sending tickets. And if you're going through the bootstrapped way, you essentially have to learn how to run the whole company end to end instead of hiring immediately employees. But I think that's a huge advantage, because when you're at a stage as a bootstrap startups to hire an employee, you already know, what are the values, what's the process, how to optimize it. You probably thought deeply about how to minimize the manual work, how to do the work really in a smart way. And when a new joiner comes in, a lot easier to bring them on board and just putting a lot of people a problem and hoping it will sort itself out. But I guess what's your kind of thoughts on bootstrapping and VC funding? What examples did you see?
So with VC funding, you definitely have to already proven your idea. You have to have some sort of success for VCs to be interested. But at an earlier stage, you can go for angel investors, which is smaller companies and private investors. And before that, you have friends and families and fools, as it's called, that go in and invest at a very early stage, basically the idea stage, commonly. And as you mentioned, bootstrapping is the very first step to actually get your proof of concept out there, to have an idea that you can present to anyone. But I totally agree. Like the greatest challenge for a startup is most probably sales, because we can build things and we can create processes around a problem to solve that problem and call it a product. But when it comes down to sales, it's a different breed. It's a different background and interest and drive that you have to have. Because when most of us think of sales, it's not the same thing as sales for a startup. A startup needs to have some sort of leads funnel, and that funnel should be as wide as possible in the top. You should try to find potential clients from all over the place, because your product have not reached what's called product market fit. You have not found your ideal client or your several ideal client personas. So your product is not ready yet. You're testing the waters, you're testing the ground to figure out, okay, so I thought this was my problem that I'm trying to solve with the product. But as I present it to the market, I realize, or the market realize, we can use it for these other things as well. So as you progress, your product will develop not from, but with inspiration of your vision, and become something more, because your customer base will give you feedback, and you will also see, like, if you invest in, let's say, Google Ads, you see that there is a bunch of people coming to the website or the app, and you see that, okay, in this case, they come, but they don't register. What's the problem? Am I not addressing their problem? Am I not addressing it with the solution that they agree on? Or is it just that I'm targeting the wrong keywords?
Yeah,
and
that's right.
That's where the leads funnel is so interesting, especially from where I'm coming from, where you can do lots of different small things in the top and then funnel that down into segments that outline, like, okay, so this is the actual customer. And what you most often learn is that there's a bunch of people coming in and are interested in your venture, your idea, because you go out there with your energy and your commitment that this is going to be amazing. But when they try it out and they follow your different steps to become an actual paying customer, there's so many bottlenecks. There's so many challenges. Just like if we look at e-commerce, I'm generalizing this now, but it's generalized in a way that for each click in a checkout procedure, you lose about 1% per click, but 10% per page job of your customers will just disappear because it's another page job. So you want to keep it as smooth and simple as very possible. So for example, like I've been working a lot in optimizing conversion and looking at it from a sales perspective and just from a consumer ID or customer expectations point of view. And in many checkouts, I don't see them as often now, but just like 2 years ago, I still could see in the checkout that the fax number was a field that you could fill in. It wasn't mandatory, but seriously, who today owns a fax? But then when you look at some sectors, the fax is actually mandatory for some specific type of industries, like education institutes in certain countries. They only communicate with fax when it's receiving invoices and so on. So you need to understand your market, and maybe it's not as simple as you think. So that's why you pressure test the system, and you're aware that your idea might not always be the true solution to the problem.
At scale, you remember working at the major e-commerce brand back in Europe, and we did a redesign of checkout. And one small, tiny little change could bring the business tens of millions of euros.
Yeah.
So every step you increases the conversion dramatically. But to go back to the startups, I think it's completely different mindset, and it's also something I had to kind of adapt as a founder that you're used to maybe from your corporate setting to deal with extreme huge amount of data where you can see someone's using the checkout page. Millions of customers are using it every day, so you can ABS quickly, you can get response quickly. But as a startup founder, you often have to like guess and just kind of get the thing out there and ask people and have this mindset of just iterating, trusting your gut. And on the sales note, something I see or founders approach me a lot about in my newsletter when I talk about sales and getting your first 100 customers is that they often kind of are a bit lazy when it comes to sales, because we're all used to from our corporate world that that was the other department. Most founders come from the tech background, so they really hate doing sales. So the first idea you have as a founder is, I'm going to hire a salesperson, or I'm going to hire that lead generation agency, and, that will bring me all the leads. And I always extremely discourage people doing so, because I think that until you hit like 10 million US in annual recurring revenue, you should be doing the founder primary, the sales. It should be 50% of your job, because that will help you understand what the customer really wants, how they react to your brand, how they react to the product. They'll have more trust into even getting started with you. So as a founder, it's the core job for you to speak to customers, to get them on board, never try to offload it to someone else and put yourself in a product or technological bubble, and just listen to feedback that goes through your team member. It's extremely important to have the direct line.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this is where most people get it wrong, because they read in the news about overnight success startups and so on. Like, it's a lot more hard work. It's a lot more hands-on, and it's a lot more work that you normally would not like to do, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's so much more roles that you need to cover in the beginning, and then eventually try to outsource things where you feel like learning this will not make the company more successful. It's better that I find the right person to do it. But if you do the math and actually realize that learning this will make me understand more about the challenges and the opportunities for this company, then it's probably something you should learn, that you should invest your time in. And then eventually when you understand it, you can outsource it.
Yeah. And, for the first year as a founder, you usually don't even get paid for doing this, job or tasks you really not enjoy to do. So it's not for everyone. And it's okay. The world needs amazing employees and amazing managers and amazing engineers inside this company. So people shouldn't be feeling pressured to start something. I feel like when I'm reading X or LinkedIn, it's a lot about that you have to start your company, you have to jump into a startup. I have my corporate friends reaching out to me all the time, like, I'm not really enjoying my career now. Should I do this idea that I have in my mind? And most probably you should not. But if you're seeking more responsibility, more ownership, if you have a year of your savings, you can just blow up and take it as, worst case, big development course. If you don't have family or kids you have to take care of or mortgages to pay, then you're in a good position to do that. If not, then, it's okay to work for someone else. It's okay to be an employee. You can have a fulfilling and successful career in a corporate world. But if you feel like there's something missing, you should give it a try with some boundaries you'll set yourself.
But it also comes down to what is success for you? Is it financial success? Is it emotional success? Is it success in terms of the experience and knowledge that you gather over the years? Or do you just want it to be something that makes your family life comfortable? Because I think that we are all from different backgrounds. We have all different needs, and we have different things that we want to fulfill our lives with. So try to figure that out before you start your own business as well, so that you don't get into a position where you have followed others into something that could prove to be very challenging.
Yeah, completely agree. And one more thing I would add on that is something I applied to my own journey, and I always recommend is it's not black and white. It's not like you drop a pen at your current job and you start building full-time your business from day one. You can do both for a pretty long time. If you can dedicate your weekends or your evenings to at least validating the idea you have, building an MVP, talking to first customers, it will help you minimize the risk that you'll be investing potentially huge amount of money and time into something that's not, the market is not interested in paying for. You can, I'm a huge believer in this gig economy. You're working on your 9 to 5, but outside of that, you're building something little. It can be a small tool. I'm always fascinated by these tiny micro SaaS ideas of, that page that's converting, one format into another. These people are literally earning millions of dollars every year from a freaking file converter that took them 3 days to build. You don't have to do rocket science. You don't have to build the next huge language model. Think of really the solve problems for the customer, solve problems for you, for your industry. Don't have immediately these huge revolutionary ideas that will take you a year to build. There's so many small, tiny little products that are making millions. And to me personally, those are the success stories. Those people, in my opinion, really made it. They have 0 employees or just, 1. They have product that's running on their own. They're just throwing a little bit budget for SEO and Google ads. They're probably sipping margaritas somewhere on Mauritius while, a VC-backed founder is trying to manage its 100 employees and satisfy shareholders and do reports and stuff. If you can think of some stupid little problem that's painful and people are willing to pay for, that's like you're the winner.
Yeah, definitely. Or if it's something that solves a tiny problem in an efficient way that is scalable, so that you can fully like build your idea on ad revenue. Like that's also something that we see a lot of, but the core here is in this part of the discussion, like a tiny solution to a reoccurring problem. Yeah, I totally agree.
Right.
But then you need to find those things and you need to isolate that problem, because it's so easy to come up with an idea and then like, yeah, now I have this solution, but then I can add this and this and this. And then all of a sudden it becomes a big thing. And if you're going for this sipping margarita and just living on this as a passive income or as an income, but that you're not actively developing, then you need to find a break point. Like, I will not add features to convert this file into all these other steps and also add a feature to email it to me. Like, remove the email feature, just have a download button. And I will not save the file for more than that session, because then I need to pay extra for file storage. Like, simplify it to the extreme.
And that really helps if you have a super lean team, or if you're like 3-4 people, then you don't have the urge to kind of create new products and tasks to kind of utilize our team members, and you're really optimizing for the revenue. And with AI, like am able to, like, we're able to run our companies into people just because of all the tooling we currently really leveraging AI and language models to its current maximum. So it, like, what would require 10 people, and I would really have to have a team like 10 years ago. I don't necessarily have to unless I really want to. So just think of, in a smart way, think of what are the tools and the resources that are available, if you can somehow utilize them, how they can help grow your business. And also, it probably won't be the first idea that you won't be the one succeeding. For me, it was the same. Basically, all my products and ideas had to go through a pivot. Thankfully, they were successful, so you have the hockey stick growth after them. But
so, just out of curiosity, as you say, like, you have a team, but it's an AI team. What different roles and how are you utilizing AI? Like, are you using specific products, or have you chosen to build your own GPTs, or how are you actually using it more in a daily basis? Like, what are you outsourcing to AI?
Basically everything content based. So any communication, mails, marketing, responses. If you train, like, I really don't like, this is a thin line. So I think you can really hurt your brand or hurt your business or personal brand by overutilizing, for example, ChatGPT, if it's not personalized to your voice. And I just am so allergic to all the comments I see on LinkedIn or replies, email that are clearly AI generated. And what could have been said in one sentence are like 3 paragraphs of useless text. So make sure to create, like, what I recommend is having your different GPTs for the different kind of use cases you're using it. So be it my newsletter, be it my mailing campaigns, being my blog posts, being my mail responses, or lead generation, just, or like idea checking, I want to have different opinions on some strategic topic, or to something I'm considering doing, like double checking or broadening horizons with your kind of personal mentor that is 24/7 available. It's really amazing. So, and then obviously my CTO is using like different AI tools that help him speed up the development. Something that would take a week now probably can take a day if you're really using the tools in a smart way. So just experiment and find I always like to go from, your need. So think of what are the type of tasks that are really taking you most of your day. Is it email replies? Is it like reaching out to clients? Is it writing content? Is it whatever? Think of what are the tools that can help you. And in 100%, there is some tool that can help you. You just have to spend half day on internet, experiment a little bit, try it out, personalize it. Please don't let it write the default. Then just, bring it to your daily use, and you can do a lot more in one day, in one person. And I think it will be a huge trend in startups. Like, we won't be seeing that many companies that have thousands of employees.
Yeah.
It will be more and more the trend of lean companies, up to 50 or 100 people, very quick decision making, empowering the teams with tools that can help them out. And that's also the kind of style I'm using.
Yeah.
What tools are helpful for you, Karl?
Yeah. So let's just break this down a little bit. GPTs is basically a very simple type of agent that you have been training with your information about how you communicate, information about your company or yourself. I think I have about 38 agents that I have trained on different things to behave in certain ways. And I always update them. Like on a bi-weekly basis, I add more information in terms of how I want them to behave. But also, like there are, for example, Sana. Sana is an agent that joins me in meetings and basically create transcripts. But from that, it also gives me the ability to simplify the work after a meeting, because it has access to my Google Drive and all the documents in the Google Drive. So it knows quite much about me and my company. And it will recommend things related to the documents that I have. Like, okay, so you made this decision. These documents cover that area. Maybe you need to update these things, and gives me a guideline or a guidance of the things that have to be done after the meeting. And with GPTs, it's different, because with GPTs, it's more of how they should respond back to me. And as you said, tone of voice or personalizing it. But what we've seen is that Anthropic just released their first version of a proper agent, which takes control of the computer, the mouse and keyboard, and can actually do things for me as if it was me that was sitting by the computer, given the requirements that I provide to it, or the instructions, like do these things, and please just do it. Don't ask me questions about how to do it. You have to figure that out, more or less. And
you show the example, right? And then it like kind of leads the way. I was just listening to a podcast of the Anthropic team.
Yeah.
I think now, and they were like sharing how they actually like build it, how it works. Pretty like cool. Every month, you have huge advancement in the industry.
Definitely. And yesterday, there was starting to leak some more information about the next release from OpenAI, which, as it looks, based on the leaked information, is going to be an agent as well. That is going to be released something January. It's as it looks. We never know with these things. And that's also going to be super interesting, because then we have two real agents that can actually do things and not just respond back to us.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So when we look at like how to build your workforce and how to scale your company and find new employees and so on, I always get back to that AI is not threatening us in the sense of stealing our jobs. It's there to support us to do the things that we should focus on, the things that are not possible to do using AI tools yet, but also where it requires true creativity. Because when I use AI tools, just to generalize it, any AI features, it's not creative. It's supporting a creative process. It makes it faster for me to be truly creative. But I have yet not seen one AI solution, whatever it is, that is truly creative apart from image generations, where in the training data that the image generation AIs are trained on, they have been taught how to not follow standards, which is kind of interesting because all the other training data we have is like in a box. These are the things that we have figured out over the years in all documented information. This is the truth. This is how it works. And then if you push AI, for example, ChatGPT or Anthropic or any of the other models, if you really try to push it, it will come to a point where you are more creative than the responses that you're receiving.
I'm pretty curious how the image and video generation will evolve. Like right now, the use cases are still pretty limited because like the generation isn't like 100%, but like some of the results are pretty scary. Like you cannot really determine whether this is a real human or not. I think the impact on businesses and on content creators can be huge. It's a part of also one of my startups that's basically connecting content creators that focus on travel, so travel influencers on social media. It's travel businesses. It's a bit a different kind of niche. I don't think they will be that much impacted by potential like complete automation, because travel is a lot about the real connection, about like being in the destination, showing it. And it's pretty unlikely that, or it will take a lot of time to kind of, replace the humans in this industry. But fashion or retail, like why would Zara or H&M, have a bunch of models and spend millions of photo shootings and a month on doing campaigns when they can create a couple of their avatars and just, the clothing on them? Like that's an amazing use case that will save so much time and money for the companies. And as humans, we'll have to be creative of what are the other roles we can play in this industry, and what value we can bring to the companies and businesses in other ways. So it will be challenging, or it is challenging for people. There is, you obviously will be needing less people or need less people for the current tasks, but it doesn't mean that there will be new tasks that will need humans. And so image generation, like in my opinion, that starts to be the scary part.
Yeah. And I come from a background where I'm very much about personalization. And to me, personalization is where I'm greeted and I'm supported in a way that is tailored for me. And I'm counting days more or less because I expect to see an e-commerce site very, very soon to personalize all the images for me. Like when I go to, let's say, Zara. When I go to Zara.com and look at clothes for me, why would I ever want to see it on other models than myself? Like I want to browse the store and I want to see all the clothes on me, not on anyone else, because I'm buying them for me. So of course, just generate all the images based on my data and my avatar information so that you on the fly can sell more tailored products for me.
I'm not sure if I would want that. I would find it a little bit creepy, seeing myself in clothing that, does not resonate with me, or, I would never wear.
Yeah.
And also like privacy is a huge topic. I probably would not want for all the retail stores to, have an image of every piece of my body. So, but yeah, I think each generation is a bit different.
Yeah, but that is also from your point of view of how it would be created. But if we play with the idea that they accept and they realize this concern and they put the processing on your device, all the data about you as a customer is on your device. It's not shared with the store. So it's actually generated on your device. They don't know who you are or what you look like. so that the personalization aspect would be prepared from a customer journey point of view on the merchant's platform. But then when it comes to re-representing the images or regenerating the images, that would be done on your device. Then you would feel safe, but maybe in the beginning it's going to be a part of the challenge is to educate the users, like, yeah, it looks like we have access to you, but we don't.
Yeah, like I kind of see your point, but at the same time, my opinion about the opportunities in AI and personalization is a bit different. I still see that it will take a bit more time, like 3 to 5 years, for B2C, like real consumers, to really adapt and accept technology on such big personal level. I think for startups, and that's kind of the topic and niche of mine, the huge opportunity for anyone in the startup world or thinking about building something is in B2B, and thinking of what in your industry are the topics and use cases that the businesses spend extreme amount of time and money and labor, and you can automate with AI, that you can personalize, that you can offload clear kind of ROI, you can have enterprise price it, and create a product that adds value and revenue positive, basically, instantly. So I think consumer use of AI will be still more on like doing the GPT agents and social media posts, calendar planning, or like time management stuff. And the real like deep potential, especially for businesses to into, is helping other businesses, their operations. But let's see, things are moving so fast that I don't really know what will happen in a year and how the kind of people will respond to the changes.
Yeah, and I think that as you pointed out, one big concern is the concern. People are concerned about how this will affect their lives. And we need to make it less frightening and point out the use case, the value, the added benefit, instead of the scary parts. Like, for example, I'm not saying that this is something we should do, but like if you're using a certain tool, when you define that, okay, I will use this thing, when you mark a text in ChatGPT and you choose copy, or when there's something else, you click on a button and it generates something. If I were given an indicator of how much time that was saved for me, I think that would add a mental benefit for me to see, okay, so today I saved 20 minutes. And then tomorrow I will see like, okay, can I save 25 minutes? And then I come to a point where I realize that, okay, today I saved 20 hours. And then I will start to be more relaxed about using these capabilities and these features and tools that actually makes my life easier and more efficient. But again, as you pointed out earlier, it's about personalization, because it's super easy to just hand over your inbox to an AI tool and like respond to all my emails. Then you're not getting the benefit from it, because if it responds to all your emails, you will not even see when there is someone saying, yeah, I want to buy it, or yes, let's do this, or anything like that. It will try to treat it as, okay, so this is a calendar appointment. Let's optimize as from a time perspective. Let's give this person 5 minutes in Karl's calendar, and yeah, it becomes a mess at this state.
But it would be really cool. I like the idea of seeing, how much time you saved through offloading different stuff. I remember when 10 years back, when I was working with one engineering team, they kind of created an exact opposite of this. So engineers hate meetings. So they created a calculator that calculates how much money was spent by, having all these meetings that all the engineering team has to be present to I don't know, plan the work or do a retrospective. And it was like seeing the number, it opens up a super important discussion, and it's a reflection of, am I investing this time really wisely? How can I optimize the time better? And like your example is more like the positive reinforcement of acknowledging that this technology is really useful.
Yeah.
And, it saved 20 hours of my time. So what can I do with that? Will I create another project, or will I take a vacation? And it will be amazing to have this freedom in deciding.
Yeah. I think this is a perfect part for us to lean back and relax about today's episode, because what we just realized is two very small tools that add a lot of benefit that should be out there. One is to indicate how much time is saved, and another one is how much time is spent on meetings equals how much money is invested in those meetings, or potentially lost in terms of building or coding products or whatever the meeting is about. Like, these are two tiny things that someone out there could build. And if you do it, let us know.
Yeah. Time is the only thing we all, have the same kind of constant, and it's just up to us how we use it. So treat it with the importance.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you for a super interesting discussion, and let's see where this takes us next.
Thanks, Karl, again for super nice discussion. It was great to also learning about your perspective, and thanks for having me.
Thank you.